The seconds are out. The crowd is waiting. The boxers are getting ready to battle. Time for another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast with your presenter, Greg Rashid.
Well, I want to say Swati Krop to everyone out there. This is Greg Rashid with another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. Heard that many people at their convenience, but a lot of folks are listening every Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Mountain Time on KUHSdenver.com, created by the one and only Henry Archuleta. And I want to say hi to all my friends in the Colorado region, as well as I want to say to my new friends out there in Great Britain. We're getting a lot of folks that are listening to the program over there, and I'm so happy for that. I'm just so happy, but happy that anybody listens. They listen all over the world. And we're going to have, as always, another great show. And, you know, for those of you who've been here for years listening to the program, you know I do fantasy fights on here. But today we're not doing a fantasy fight, because one thing I like to do more than anything is talk about real boxing, what's going on in the world of boxing, have authors and boxers on the program live to talk about their books, their fights, whatever. And today we have William Dettloff, who wrote a great book called Ring Theory. And we're going to get to that interview in just a moment. But right now, we're going to have Felicia talk about the boxing history this week. So let's hear Felicia right now on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Hi, boxing fans. This is Felicia coming at you with your weekly dose of boxing history for March 29th through April 4th. Strap on your gloves. We're diving into some legendary moments, underdog stories, and a few jaw-dropping upsets. March 29th, 1966. Muhammad Ali retained his WBC heavyweight title against the ultra-tough Canadian George Chuvalo at Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens. Ali danced and dazzled, but Chuvalo, that guy, was a walking brick wall. He refused to hit the canvas over a grueling 15 rounds, turning the fight into a testament to pure Canadian grit. Ali took a lopsided, unanimous decision, but Chuvalo walked out a hero who proved heavyweights north of the border weren't soft. Talk about earning respect the hard way. March 30th, 1965, at Madison Square Garden, Puerto Rico's José Chegui Torres made history by becoming the first Hispanic light heavyweight champion of the world. He dismantled defending champ Willie Pastrano with a peekaboo defense and relentless pressure, forcing a stoppage in the 9th round. One-sided? Absolutely. Historic? You bet. Torres didn't just win a title, he opened doors for a whole generation of fighters. March 31st, 1973. In one of the most shocking nights in heavyweight history, unheralded contender Ken Norton became only the second man to beat Muhammad Ali by breaking his jaw in the process. The 12-round split decision in San Diego left Ali talking funny for weeks, or so the stories go. Norton's power and awkward style turned the greatest into the quietest for a night. Ali would get his revenge later, but this one still stings in the highlight reels. April 1st, 1939. No fooling around here. Puerto Rican star Sixto Escobar defended his world bantamweight title against K.O. Morgan in front of a raucous hometown crowd of 15,000 at Estadio Sixto Escobar in San Juan. Escobar used slick boxing and superior pace to take a clear 15-round decision and keep his crown. The venue was even named after him. Now that's how you earn a statue, or at least a stadium. April 2nd, 2011, Mexican warrior Giovanni Segura reminded everyone why their 2010 clash was Fight of the Year material. In the rematch, Segura unleashed hell on the smaller, craftier Ivan Calderon, stopping him early with thunderous power. El Guerrero Azteca proved once again that size, strength, and a mean streak can rewrite the script against slick southpaws. Boom! Another highlight reel knockout. April 3rd, 2010, 17 years after their first meeting, where a young Roy Jones Jr. outpointed him for the IBF middleweight title, Bernard Hopkins got his long-awaited revenge against Roy Jones Jr. in Las Vegas. At ages 45 and 41 respectively, the executioner outworked and outthought Jones over 12 rounds, winning a wide, unanimous decision. It wasn't pretty, but it was payback served ice cold. Hopkins basically said, "Remember me?" and delivered the message with body shots and veteran savvy. April 4th, 1961. Happy birthday to Ray, Mercy Les Mercer. Born on this day, the Jacksonville native went on to win heavyweight gold at the 1988 Seoul Olympics, then captured the WBO heavyweight title in 1991, making one successful defense against a young Tommy Morrison. Mercer was a pressure cooker with a granite chin. He never got stopped in his prime and gave nightmares to plenty of big names. From Olympic podium to world champ, that's a heavyweight journey worth celebrating. Blow out those candles and maybe throw a few jabs while you're at it. That wraps up this week in boxing history, folks. From broken jaws to broken records, the sweet science never disappoints. Which moment fired you up the most? Drop it in the comments and I'll catch you next time with more tales from the ring. Keep those hands up.
Thank you so much for that, Felicia. And Ali getting his jaw broken by Norton. That really just blew me away, as well as other folks, my friends and all, who looked at that live back on the Wide World of Sports. Amazing how many years ago that was. But yeah, if you've never seen that fight, go on YouTube and check it out. But anyway, we're getting ready to have an interview with William Dettloff, author of the book Ring Theory. And I just love having him on the show. So we're just going to take it away now and let William talk, and hope you enjoyed the interview. I know you will, because he's been on here before. So let's take it away right now on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. Well, I'm so honored to have on here. Once again, it's been too long. It's been 2 years. I should have him on every week because he's such a great person to interview. Has written some great books. And who I'm talking about is William Dettloff, who's the author of a new book. It's his articles from various sources and all. The name of the book is Ring Theory, and it's on Winding Road Stories. I'm so happy to have him on here. Are you there, William?
I am, Gregory. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Just happy to have you on again. And, the book is real. I'm glad you put everything, not everything, but your major writings in this book. Is great to see those memories. And
thank you.
I want to ask, first of all, because you talk about it in the middle of the book, but how did you even get into boxing? Because you talk about your experiences in New Jersey as a child, and I guess being bullied. And just talk about that so people can understand how you arrived at where you are now in the writing of this book.
Okay, well, I should say that I boxed as an amateur, and as you just alluded to, I was bullied a bit as a kid, and we say that now, and it's like a big deal, like people shouldn't be bullied and that kind of thing. It's a cause célèbre now about being bullied, but that's just the way it always has been, right?
Yeah, everyone was bullied. I bullied. Yeah, I was bullied.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But the number of boxers who become boxers as a result of being bullied is astronomical. So many boxers became boxers, or I should say, become boxers because they were bullied as kids.
Right.
I guess the most recent example I could think of is Joe Calzaghe, who's talked at length about being bullied, and it's the same with mixed martial arts fighters. Many of them get into that discipline as a result of being bullied. But to go back a little further, I was a very shy, anxious kid, and got bullied a lot. And in 1974, I opened a copy of Sports Illustrated that my sister's boyfriend had been looking at, and they were previewing. There was an article inside previewing the George Foreman Muhammad Ali fight that was coming up in Zaire, Africa. And I
remember that issue very well because I had it for a long time.
Yeah, I picked up a copy at the International Boxing Hall of Fame some years ago and have it in plastic. But anyway, I opened Sports Illustrated and saw a picture of George Foreman. The name of the article was Cut and Run versus the Big Gun.
Yep.
That was, I don't know who came up with the title, but it was a good one. I can't even remember the writer now. And the writing wasn't what jumped out at me at the time. What jumped out at me was the picture inside of George Foreman working the heavy bag. And I saw that photo of George, and this is all outlined in the book. If you want to, if your folks want to, your listeners want to read about it. I saw that picture and said, "Oh, wow, that's exactly who I want to be. I want to be George Foreman," because I knew that nobody who looked like that could ever be bullied, would never run home from school, would never, have to subvert himself to a gaggle of kids running after him. And he would always be the boss and never have to be scared of anything. So I saw that photo of Foreman and I said, that's what I want to be. So I fell in love with boxing, I think, at that moment. And I was 74. So I was 9 years old. And that started my love affair with boxing. And 5 years later, and I started working out virtually when I was like 11 years old. Lifting weights and jogging early in the morning. And early in the morning, by the way, not because that's what fighters did, but because when I was doing that, nobody was jogging. You know what I'm saying? You remember that, Gregory.
It's so funny because you're 9 years old at the time. I'm in college at The Ohio State University. I'm 20 years old, and it's just so, going not through the same experience, because my experience as far as boxing is like I go back to Floyd Patterson was my first hero.
I got you.
But
okay.
The first time I even attempted to try any boxing, and I get hit, and tears comes in my eyes, and I said, "That's it. I don't want this. I'll look at it. I don't want this." But anyway, getting back to your story.
I was starting to say that I used to jog all the time in the early days, not because that's what boxers did, but really because people who jogged in the mid to late 70s, it wasn't like the thing to do. It wasn't like now where you see people jogging down the road.
You got funny looks.
Absolutely right.
Oh, yeah, you got really.
For jogging.
Yeah, I'm a teen and adult back then, and even then at Ohio State University, people, athletic school, basically, people would give you funny looks at times.
Yeah, absolutely right. So I started working out at home alone a lot and reading every boxing book I could find, instructional and otherwise. And when I was 14, do you
still have the book? You mentioned the book Boxing for Boys. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I wish I had it. It might be on eBay somewhere. I should look that up. Yeah, that was it was an instructional book in my grammar school library. And I took it out over and over and over and practiced all the moves. Sometimes I'd bring my friends over and spar with them so I could practice moves. And when I was 14, I went to a local gym. I found out there was a boxing gym 10 or 15 minutes from my home. And got my father to take me in. For the next 5 years, I fought out of that gym in South River, New Jersey. And I discovered after 14 fights or so that I wasn't going to be George Foreman, which I probably knew all along. And I stopped and started doing things that teenagers do, right? Chase girls,
right?
Drive fast cars, hang out with their friends, party, and that kind of stuff. And so I quit boxing, and I made a couple of terrible comebacks. And when I realized I wasn't going to be a successful boxer, I had read so much boxing and read all the boxing magazines there were. I would run to the store every week to see which ones had come out. I started thinking I could write about it, and I was doing well in school in writing and journalism classes, English classes, which were the only classes I did well in, by the way, because I hated the other ones and I had no patience for school or the teachers or anybody. But I did very well in English classes and read a lot. And so I started writing, and I figured maybe I could write boxing. And I was fortunate that Nigel Collins and Steve Farhood and those guys were running the family of boxing magazines that we all remember. KO Boxing and The Ring and World Boxing and International Boxing and Boxing Yearly. And I started pitching stories to Nigel Collins, and he finally got one. He took one, and then I just kept pitching. And he kept picking up stories and pretty soon was assigning me stories, and we took off from there. And here it is.
That's really amazing.
40 years later.
Yeah, still
Pardon?
doing it.
Yeah,
still doing
I'm trying.
it. Yeah, and I really miss, unless I'm missing something, your magazine, Ringside Seat. Is it going to come back? Is it out there and I'm missing it? Okay.
No, you're not missing it. We had to fold it up. It's no more.
Oh, that's a shame. What? Yeah, that gets me to a question. It's not in your book, but I'm just curious. Do you think, a magazine like yours, Ring Magazine, which is now online, is this just the age of online? You're no longer going to be able to go to like a newsstand or something and pick up that magazine. Because as you were saying that earlier about you waiting for those magazines, I did that forever. I just love doing that. Do you think that day is over as far as boxing writing? Because I just noticed there's a lot of folks out there, their writing is very, to be nice, elementary.
Yeah.
There's something lacking.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't want to be one of those old guys who says, it wasn't like that in my day. But
right.
as far as everything being online, absolutely, we're already there. We're already there. It's not just boxing magazines. Look at I'm sure. What was your hometown newspaper when you were a kid, Gregory?
The Washington Post, and it's
okay.
And I was subscribing to it online up until earlier, a couple of months ago, and it has to do with the politics as far as Bezos. But we won't get into that. But yeah, it's all about Jeff Bezos. But anyway, go ahead.
I'm sure that their print circulation is far smaller today than it was when you were a kid.
Well, it's non-existent. It's not.
Exactly. The papers that I read in my house when I was a kid are gone. Well, they're still in existence, but they're only available online and in a library where you can look at the microfilm. So it's just everything is online now. So
and even over here in Thailand, I have to say this. There's the major newspaper here is the Bangkok Post. And when I came here 8 years ago, it was fairly thick. But as of today, it's about maybe 11, 10 pages at the most.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's all online. It is all online, basically.
Yeah. So, we're approaching that time where if you say newspaper, people are not going to know what you're talking about. And I'm sure there are kids now that don't know what we're talking about if we say newspaper. And, that's sad to us, but that's just the way the world is.
Yeah.
Everything moves forward,
It is swift, to get back to the book in a sense, but because you mentioned, this one person I want you to talk about because he's big, because this show basically comes out of Colorado that I do. And there was a popular boxer in the 90s that people loved in Colorado, Oscar De La Hoya. And I'm thinking about the fact that there are a lot of folks that are growing up. There's a whole generation of folks that only think of Oscar De La Hoya as a promoter.
Exactly right. Isn't that terrible?
I know, it's sad. It really is.
That's terrible. They have no idea what a badass he was.
Oh my God! Before we get into your article in the book, where do you rank him as a boxer all time? Because I notice I rarely see his name mentioned anyway as far as a pure boxer. He's one of my all time favorites. But he's never
Oscar was really great.
I mean,
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, he was, and you're absolutely right. He's never ranked anywhere. You never see him being mentioned as an all-time great. You're absolutely right, Gregory. And it just might be because of what you just said, that he's more known now as a promoter. And that's, by the way, that's really something. Can you name, Oscar was the biggest name in the sport for probably a decade.
And you could argue, too, he may have been the biggest name in sports, period. Not in just boxing, but all of sports, and maybe as far as entertainment, because you got to keep in mind, I had a show back in cable show back in 2001 in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
We used to give away the Oscar CDs, his music.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And he was hot. I mean, he was really something.
Yeah, he transcended the sport in a big way. And maybe the last boxer to do that, probably. And can you name any other boxer who's whose promotional company has been as successful as Oscar's? You can't.
No.
All these guys towards the end of their careers start to put on fights, promoted by Miguel Cotto or something.
Right.
They all come, but the only one that lasts so far has been Golden Boy, and it's one of the top promoters in the world. Now, that aside, Oscar was a great fighter, and you're absolutely right, Greg. I never see him mentioned that among the all-time greats, and that might be also because he fought in so many different divisions, right? So it's hard to pin him down in a division and say he's in the top 10 or whatever in this division. But I think he's probably a top 10 welterweight of all time. Wouldn't you think?
I would think so. I mean, I think people also look at the fact that, near the end of the career, he loses to Mayweather, he loses to Hopkins.
Yeah, but those guys are Hall of Famers.
Right?
Yeah,
and those are very close fights. I mean, Hopkins wasn't. He knocked him out. That shot to the belly, that was it.
Right. Yep.
But basically, I mean, most of those fights, the Cotto fight, that was close. You can go all of these fights that, the second Sugar Shane Mosley fight, he may have actually won that. The Trinidad fight, I believe he won that one.
First of all, I agree about the second Mosley fight. I thought Oscar won that easily. And the Trinidad fight remains, I always call this the worst decision in a big fight that I've ever seen. I thought Oscar won 8 or 9 rounds at least.
Yeah, that's where I really never cared for him. But after that fight, Don King was on my I can't stand list.
Of course.
He had, because I know he had a lot to do with that fight, what happened at the end. Some of his commentary after that fight, some of the things he said let me know that, no, he set this up. He set it up. And it's a shame.
Yeah. It is a shame because I thought Oscar won that fight easily. And, excuse me, what some people forget is that Oscar was only following the directions of his corner when he stayed away the last 3 rounds or so. And the person giving him those directions was the very respected Gil Clancy, who'd been around boxing for 40 years at that point and was one of the most respected guys in the business. He came in as an advisor for De La Hoya in a few fights, and he'd show up at training camp and give De La Hoya some work. And he said, "You got this fight you've won 8 rounds. You've got it in the books. Just stay away the last couple of rounds." And it wasn't like Oscar chose to do that. He was following the directions of his corner, and I think he was perfectly within his right to do it because I thought he boxed Trinidad's ears off for the great majority of that time.
Oh yeah, he did. And the funny thing is, something I didn't know by reading the article in the book is about the reaction of Oscar. Well, Oscar's the way he delegates, how he gets rid of people, which really surprised me.
Yeah,
happens to Clancy talks about, and talk a little bit about that.
Yep. Yeah, what there's a quote from Clancy, and it's not exactly in response to your question, but my favorite quote from Clancy in that piece that you're referring to there, Gregory, is he talks about what a great student and what a great person to train De La Hoya is. Clancy said he was watching De La Hoya spar one day, and he noticed that De La Hoya was not coming back with the left hook after the right hand. And boxing, that's a fundamental thing. After you throw the right hand, you come back with the hook to get back on point and back on position, right? And so Clancy said to me, Oscar came back to the corner after a round, and he said, and he counted the number of times De La Hoya threw a right hand without coming back with the left hook. And it was like, say it was 15. And Clancy said to him in the corner, Oscar, you got to come back with the left hook after you throw that right hand. That's, you just have to. And the next round, Clancy counted again how many right hands De La Hoya threw without coming back with the hook, and the number was 0. After one round of coaching, De La Hoya threw the hook after every right hand. Now, which I just love that quote. But getting back to specifically your question about how he terminated employment with people, was that he never did it himself. He just always had a promoter do it, or one of his people in his very large camp. And there were a lot of guys that he went through: Floyd Mayweather Sr. and Gil Clancy and Nacho Beristain, I think, for a little while trained De La Hoya, and Emmanuel Stewart. And none of these guys really took it personally. But anyway, I think the point is that De La Hoya never did it himself. He avoided the unpleasantness. And it isn't pleasant, after all, to say to somebody, your
Right.
services are no longer required, you're fired.
And that gets to something you don't say in the article, but I'm curious about, because you probably know this. You remember Oscar when, before the fight would start and the boxers are facing each other, Oscar would never do the stare down. He would always look up and would be bouncing on his toes. And I wonder if that was part of this whole thing of like avoidance.
I was just thinking that as you were saying that. I never noticed that until you just said it. And now I'm thinking back to Oscar, and you're absolutely right. And I think, I can only respond in my own way of thinking, because I write in one of the later stories about when I was boxing, that I would avoid the confrontation until the last possible second, right? Until I had to look at the other guy. And maybe that's what Oscar was doing. I don't know. I don't know how he felt, if he had a lot of fear in the ring. But that's a very interesting observation that you make there, that he wouldn't look at the guy. He would look up. Maybe he was just trying to avoid the confrontation until the last second. Because, again, even outside the ring, getting back to your original question, some fighters aren't great diplomats often because they don't have to be. They never learn to be. They've solved problems with their fists, right?
That's right.
So fighters don't ever have to learn to be tactful or diplomatic or to have bad feelings with somebody that they need to express and have it back and forth, because their fists are athletes. So if you can have somebody and that's your background and that's who you are, you can have somebody else do unpleasant things like firing people. Now, the interesting thing about the guys I spoke with who had been fired by Oscar is they didn't hold it against him at all. They didn't take it personally, and they had no animosity toward Oscar after that. And I suspect that was probably because they wanted to keep the door open in case he ever wanted to use them again, because everybody knows that Oscar was the biggest payday that could be made.
Right.
Oh,
he was God.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I'd want to be
amazing.
I'd want to be on Oscar's good side and possibly land a job with him again if I could. So nobody's going to say anything bad about him. And the other thing, it might just be that, that's the way it is at that level. Everybody knows that everybody has a job, and sometimes they're going to last and sometimes they're going to not. And, and you just go about your business. But Oscar was a great, great fighter, and I consider him an all-time great.
Oh, I do too. And the thing that you mentioned in the article, which I didn't know, about what he would see sometimes, talking about his parents when he's fighting someone, which I didn't know. This is I can understand kind of the father thing with him, but the mother thing, talk about that, because I didn't know this.
Well, I kind of happened on it myself a long time after the article was originally printed. But anyway, for a long time, the understanding was that their story, I should say, was that Oscar kind of hated his father because he could never please him, and he was always trying to get his father's approval, and that accounted for much of his success. That he had this great desire to chase after his father's approval through fighting, and he could never quite get it, which kind of drove him to being a superstar. That happens a lot, That's what.
Oh yeah.
That's why people fight in the first place or achieve great things oftentimes, is to get the approval of a parent. And conversely, the story went, his mother was kind and gentle and affable, and she supported him, and she was, his rock. Well, just a couple of years ago, and that was a story for a long time, and that was everybody's understanding. But things aren't always as they seem or as they are told to you. A couple of years ago, Oscar said on a podcast that I happened to see that his mother physically abused him all the time and beat him up and was awful to him and smacked him around. And he did not have a good relationship with his mother. And he would picture his mother before fights and sometimes during fights in order to get angry so he could fight harder.
My goodness. Yeah. I didn't know that one. That is something. Yeah, I fell for the whole myth also, as far as,
Yeah,
he didn't care for his father, but his mother, he just adored her.
Right. That was the story. Exactly right. Yeah. But turned out not to be the case.
That is something. But yeah, that's, and listeners, if you're just tuning in, I'm talking to William Dettloff, the author of a superb, I guess they call it an anthology of some of your writing, memories. Ring Theory is on Winding Road Stories. Check it out. Now, I want to ask you about something that I had to really, at the beginning of the book, I had to really sit and think about this. Actually, I took, I was like working. I was working out, and I started thinking about it even more. But you talk about you were taken aback when someone said to you that boxing is entertainment, and talk
Right.
about that.
I was referring to my friend and longtime colleague Eric Raskin. We used to do we did two podcasts together over the years, and one was strictly boxing, called Ring Theory, by the way. And he said once that I was talking about something while watching a fight, and he said, "Yeah, I can see what you're thinking. You're watching this entertainment," and it just stopped in my mind right there, entertainment. And it never occurred to me that some people see boxing as just entertainment. It never occurred to me, because it had been just about everything to me since I was since I was a kid, since
Right.
I'd seen that picture of George Foreman. Really, that's all I cared about after that point was boxing. And I've always viewed entertainment, quote unquote, as being frivolous, right? We can all live without entertainment. Entertainment is something that people, first world countries have entertainment because they have nothing to do with survival, right?
Right.
Entertainment is not important, right? It's not critical to life. It's just entertainment. It's frivolous bullshit stuff.
Yeah.
And so it never occurred to me that boxing was that, because boxing seems so much more important to me than that. And that there are plenty of other examples of entertainment that I could name, but boxing wasn't in there. It was above that. Boxing was beyond entertainment because it was so important. That's the way I saw boxing. But the more I thought about it, and over the decades, grew away from boxing a little bit, to the extent that I allowed myself to experience other things, other art forms, then I came to understand that boxing is entertainment to many people. It's other things to other people. It's more than that to other people like me and you.
Right.
To some people, it's more than that, but it is largely entertainment, like an NFL game.
It
right?
is.
An NFL game
and you can question NFL games too, as far as seeing these guys hitting each other like this. Is this entertainment, or is it is something else there? Some psychological need I have in me, as far as from being a caveman or something, and want to see brutality.
Yeah, definitely.
and I say that I say that because once I became and got my media credentials back in the early 2000s and started covering sports, and actually standing on the field and watching college and NFL football games, it's brutal.
Sure.
It's brutal. That's to hear the hits is brutal. And the same thing with boxing is you've seen more fights than I have in person, but the crowd gets excited until someone actually gets hit and gets knocked out, and you don't hear it on television. But when a person hits that mat, when they are just out, that is a horrible sound.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that, Gregory. And even the sound of a glove hitting flesh is different.
Oh, it's awful.
Different live than it is on TV. You're absolutely right. And there have been times when I've been kind of, I don't want to, repulsed is too strong a word, but when I've seen guys get knocked out or really beat up live, like a few feet from the ring, I've felt a little repulsed.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't generally feel that way, and I get caught up in the excitement. And that's, I think, always is going to be the case with us until we evolve out of it. You know what I'm saying? We still have that part of our brains, like you just mentioned, the caveman stuff. We still have that part of our brains and those adrenal glands that get us excited about that kind of stuff. And we can intellectually say, I shouldn't feel that way, and this is brutal, and I shouldn't be cheering this. But there's the primitive part of our brains that get excited about that stuff. And you can either fight it or you can let it take you where it's going to take you.
Right.
I choose the latter. Right?
Yeah, that's it. And both of us, we've seen the studies on CTE. We know all of this. I mean, you write a great story in here also about Donald Curry, and I can, as I was reading, I was saying, well, you could put, and you mentioned Muhammad Ali, but you can put any fighter. And I started thinking about Thomas Hearns, what he's going through right now.
Yep.
And it's, we love the sport, but we know in the back of our minds, as you were saying, we know what it does.
Absolutely right. But here's the thing, and I wrote about this in the piece about Joe Bugner in there, that it is a trade-off, and I touch on this in the Curry story also. It is a trade-off that, number one, fighters know that all this is possible when they start fighting, and most of them do it when they're teenagers. They start doing it when they're teenagers, and when you're a teenager and you start boxing, first of all, you're not doing it because it's just a fun, frivolous thing to do. Fighters end up in gyms because, in a lot of ways, they're miserable and they're escaping. Right. They're trying to escape something, right? That's why they end up boxing. And so let's say a 15-year-old kid goes to the gym and he starts doing this to escape other horrible things in his life. And somebody says, "Oh, don't do that. You're going to end up punching you when you're 60." What 15-year-old kid is worried about what he's going to be like when he's 60? Nobody.
No.
Right? When you're 15, you don't care what you're going to be like when you're 20.
No,
right. So you put it out. Yeah, exactly. So you put it out of your head. And the guys who really hit it big, who become champions and rich and all that stuff, even if they crash and burn, like Matthew Saad Muhammad, for example, the subject of my earlier book,
right.
or like Ricky Hatton, for example, who we just found out, and we know that he committed suicide, but it's being released now that he had CTE, which almost certainly contributed to his suicide and depression. We find out these things and we shake and we wring our hands and shake our heads. But what would these guys have been without boxing? Where would Matthew Saad Muhammad have been without boxing?
And I can use a corollary too. Over here in Thailand, these Muay Thai boxers, these kids start like when they're not even 10, some of them. They've had, by the time they get in their late teens, some of them had like 400 fights.
Wow.
It's just amateurs.
Wow.
And a lot of them are from poor areas, prefectures outside of Bangkok, and they do it just, they want the glory.
Yeah.
And they, and a lot of them have been bullied, but a lot of them just are poor. And they use it as a means of escape. And they are always asked, would you, if you had it to do all over again, would you do it? And they say, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah, I've never spoken to a fighter who said, "No, I regret it. I would never box again." I've never had a fighter say that to me. And in fact, one of my favorite examples is when Muhammad Ali was in the throes of Parkinson's, could barely speak anymore. Somebody asked him that if he had the chance to do it over, knowing how it would turn out, would he still box? He said, he didn't hesitate a second. He said, "Of course. Because if I hadn't boxed, I never would have gotten out of Louisville. I'd have been a sign painter like my old man."
Right. The interesting thing is, William, is that, but a lot of these guys and women, when you ask them, "Do you want your son or your daughter to fight?"
They say no.
They say, "Hell no."
Exactly.
Mike Tyson made this comment that, "My son is he's too privileged. He couldn't fight."
Right. Exactly right. Exactly right.
He's too privileged. But anyway, I could talk to you all day. I got to get you. I can't have this every 2 years I talk to you. But what do you want folks to get out of your book? What do you want them really to get out of it?
That's a good question.
Especially those who aren't really, because a lot of folks who listen to the program, they love boxing, but there are a lot of folks, they don't know anything about boxing. What do you want someone to get out of it?
Huh. You know what? I have to quote my former editor and friend, longtime editor and friend, Nigel Collins, who was, of course, the editor-in-chief for a long time at Ring magazine.
Right.
Who said, "What we do here when we were writing in the magazine, we're not really writing about boxing. We're writing about life through the prism of boxing, through the lens of boxing," which seemed beautiful to me, and it still does. And I think that's what I'd like people to get out of it. That boxing is as we have known for a long time, boxing is the perfect metaphor for life. I had a doctor once say to me when I asked what I did for a living. I told him I write boxing, and he said, "Oh, it's kind of brutal, isn't it? It's kind of brutal, isn't it?" And I really didn't know what to say to him in response, but that stuck in my head for a long time. And I eventually thought of a reply years later, of course. He's probably dead by now. But I should have said, yeah, but it's no more brutal than life.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
if life wasn't so brutal, boxing wouldn't exist.
That's right. That's
right.
the whole.
So it's no more brutal than life is.
I mean, it's like we were talking about earlier. Do you want to be in poverty all your life? Do you want to be in some place, like I was talking about these kids in some of these areas in Thailand who are living in something that most Americans would never even, you couldn't imagine a poverty.
Right. Right.
You couldn't imagine it. Do you want to escape that? And all
Sure.
of them, they want to. They want
of course.
to do that.
Look at Manny Pacquiao, grew up living in like a mud hut. Yeah, terrible.
Oh, my God. I mean, I've seen those places. Oh, there's something. But I just want to thank you, William, for coming on today. And how can people reach you if they want to talk to you and get the book?
Well, they can. I'm on Facebook and on Twitter. They can always reach out to me there if they want a signed version of the book. I'm always happy to do that for folks, or they can get the book at Amazon or barnesandnoble.com, or they can email me at my last name, which is Dettloff, as you know, at ptd.net. So I'm out there as everybody is and reachable by any number of ways.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, I got to ask you one other question real quickly.
Sure.
Just has nothing to do with the book. Has something to do with the book, but not really. But the fight coming up, Fundora and Thurman.
Yeah.
Real quick. What do you think?
Like pick? Fundora.
Yeah.
Fundora is a nightmare. I don't.
Okay. And his sister's a nightmare too.
Yeah, she can fight too.
Woo.
It's so odd to see somebody that tall who can fight inside, who gives up his height. Yeah, gives up his height immediately and just crushes guys. He is a handful for anybody. And I think that at his age and at this point in his career, what could he be fighting for except just because he feels like making some more money? I can't imagine Keith Thurman can do much with Fundora, but I could be wrong. He might land a good shot.
I agree with you, but we'll see.
Yeah, but I think Fundora takes it. Yeah.
Yeah. One more question, just
sure.
What do you think? What do you think about Moses Atama? What do you think about this kid? And we got like a minute, less than a minute.
He might be big. He's got to beat somebody. He's got to beat some fighters that are better than the guys he's beaten so far.
Right.
But he can fight. It's clear that he can fight. And sometimes you can see that even when the guys he's fighting aren't any good. But we've got to see him against some good guys. And there's some good, interesting heavyweights out there right now that are young and upcoming that I would like to see him fight.
Yeah, me too. We will see. But I'm going to have you back on here again, definitely. So you take care. Thank you so much for coming on today, Bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Greg. My pleasure.
Right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, you too. Really happy to do that interview today with Bill. Had a little mic problem just now, so I was a little delayed, but really enjoyed talking to him. Check the book out. Get the book out there. Go on Amazon. Just get it. I mean, it's a great book. It's great. And if you don't know much about boxing, you'll learn a lot. If you do know some boxing, you'll learn more. I mean, I consider myself an expert in boxing, but I learned so much reading Bill's book. So check it out. I hope I will have him back on again numerous times. But right now we're going to switch gears today because what I always say is that this is a boxing variety show and we play music on here. And right now I'm going to do a group out here in Thailand. This is I think we'll do trying to think which one I want to do today. I think we'll do the group Jade out here, Jade Mystique. And this is Coconut Soup. So let's hear Jade Mystique on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
travel the space way. From planet to planet we go. We dey travel the space way. Black stars, they call us back home. We dey travel the space ways. From planet to planet we go. We dey travel the space ways. Black stars, they call us back home. We dey travel the space ways. Ancestors, they wait for we. We dey come home. A rocket ship no need petrol. Na spirit they drive am home. The cosmic track.
Then a final shakery rattle, and a single road's chord rings out like a spaceship taking off.
All right, that's a little different. They're from Durian Funk out here in Bangkok, Thailand. That was African Spaceway, kind of their tribute to Sun Ra's We Travel the Spaceways. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And before that, we did the song Coconut Soup, and that was by Jade Mystique. Hope you enjoyed the show today. Happy to have William Dettloff always on here talking about his excellent book, Ring Theory. Check it out. Get that book. But we're just so happy that, that you stood, came by for just a moment or two just to listen and learn something, because I always want to teach people in some way on this program and make you have a smile on your face and just make you feel a little better, especially in these troubled times that we're in. And I've been saying for years, there are wars out there, and we're actually seeing this now. But do what you can in your neighborhood, your condo area, your gated community, your farmland, wherever you are, prefecture, wherever you are, do something to make it a better place, because we're on this great big, that's easy for me to say, this great big blue ball together, and we got to work to bring peace. That got to do something in some way just to make things better. If it involves picking up trash, helping a young person, helping a senior in need, do what you can, because we got, we only get one time here, so do what you can to make it a better place. And again, this is Greg Rashid. Go in love and go in peace. We'll see you next time on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. And tell a friend to tune in and listen to the program. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Please become a member at patreon.com under the title Ringside Fantasy Fights and News. See you next time.